here today with Dennis and Elizabeth Kucinich. So I'd like to start by asking you about how you see the world.
I see the world as being interconnected and interdependent. And matter of fact, there's already plenty of technology to suggest that that's true. We can pick up a cell phone, call anyone in the world. We can get on a plane and fly anywhere in the world. We can send a text message anywhere in the world. We can get on our computer and have a discussion with someone in another part of the world. The world is one. And it's time that we began to act that way and to insist on human unity as an imperative. The fact that I am my neighbor. And if we act on that, we realize that when we have compassion towards another, we're celebrating our own humanity.
Is there anything that you can tell us about how we can hold this government accountable for what they've done, and so that we don't set a precedent for the next president?
You have identified a matter that is of urgent importance to the people of the United States. The reason why I introduced a resolution of impeachment with respect to Mr. Cheney was to protect the Constitution and to protect this long tradition of adherence to the law that is the bedrock principle of a democracy. And as you said, you know, what are the standards that we have? What kind of precedent are we setting for future leaders if we look the other way? Well, we knowingly understand that we have leaders who led us into a war based on lies, who have caused us to sacrifice the lives of over 3,400 of our fellow citizens, and perhaps as many as 1 million innocent Iraqis who have destroyed Iraq and have cost this country $800 billion by 2008, who have separated us from the world. Who are we if we do not call them to an accounting? So what must we do? Well, there are citizens in Maine and Vermont and New Hampshire and across New England right now who are about that work, who are aimed at strengthening our constitutional system of government by challenging this conduct, who say that this is not appropriate and that we should never permit criminal conduct to be suborned by our silence. And so people are not silent any longer. They're gathering in town squares and at state legislatures, and they're saying, we want something better. We demand accountability to the law. I think that's a great moment in America. It's part of refreshing our democracy, and I think that the direction that we're going is going to save our democracy.
And it's not a question about who they are, it's about who we are and what do we demand of our government.
And because of that is the positive affirmative statements. We are for honest government. We are for a constitutional tradition. We are for adherence to the law. We are for international law. We are for leaders who are decent. We are for leaders who tell the truth. We are.
There's been a lot of talk about the Great Turning and the idea that the system that we've been under since the industrial era, where our system was put into all separateness, rich people and poor people and black and white and all the different separateness. It's us and them. And this Great Turning seems to be about coming together. But there are certain people in this world that seem to be a part of this Great Turning. And it seems to be a revolution. I know that both you and Dennis are very much a part of the Great Turning. Elizabeth, what are some of the things that you believe make this system that we have unsustainable the way it is? Can you tell us a little bit about your theories?
So picking up on the Industrial Revolution that you were talking about, it had its place. It helped us to develop certain aspects of our society. But what we're seeing now are the effects of disconnecting ourselves from our communities, disconnecting ourselves from our environment. And now is a time when we're really understanding that we have to connect with the global community. We have to understand that everybody and everything is interconnected and interdependent. The air we breathe, the water we drink, It's not just, doesn't just go through us, it's gone through many individuals before and it will go through many in the future. So we really have to understand how we can sustain this, how we can take all the positive aspects of the Industrial Revolution and bring them now into a package that really is holistic in its approach. And what I really like to do, instead of looking at what's wrong with something, is look at what's right with it. I like to see where are the good things that we can take from the Industrial Revolution, from the current society that we have, from the current economic system that we have, the current political system, and how do we make the good things stronger? Because if we really align our strengths, then all the weaknesses just pale into significance and they fall away. So this really, for me, is the way that the quickening is happening, that the turning is happening, when people really start to understand their own empowerment. When they start to understand they don't have to force against something all the time. You just have to move away and create what you want. And this is what Dennis and I are doing in politics, what the presidential campaign is about. It's not about all these candidates fighting over different areas that they want to, dominate over. It's about moving into the areas that people are neglecting and into the areas that people actually want to create. So it's about upholding the Constitution. It's about creating systems for peace to manifest itself. It's about education. It's about real development. And when we can go into that blue ocean, when we can really start to create the world that we want and stop focusing on what we don't want, then this will really come into being, I feel.
It's also said that if we look into the pain that people are suffering from, and we feel that pain, we also can get to a place where we can then move through it.
So really we need to connect with each other, we need to empathise, we need to feel the pain. We need to feel the pain of the troops in Iraq, we need to feel the pain of the civilians and all of the people in the Middle East who are suffering under a regime that we have really manifested out there. We need to really connect again, reconnect with the world community, reconnect with ourselves, become sentient beings again. We are not all journalists who are just taking notes in this life. We are full participating people who have to really engage in what's going on and also take responsibility, because when we understand, when we can see what's going on and when we know that we need to make a difference. My mother always taught me, turn a negative thought into a positive action. It's about people really having the courage to do it in their own lives. And we feel great comfort in feeling very high and mighty, moaning about things that are going on and being very knowledgeable about the things that you moan about. But unless you change that whinging into something very positive and beautiful, you're very much part of the old system. So it's really about, coming into being, allowing yourself to blossom.